Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Help! I'm trapped in 1981 and I can't leave until I play every single game. We last left off with The Chronicles of Osgorth, The Shattered Alliance for the Atari home computer, and let's see what our next game is. We're now going, to the Bally Astrocade, the system that just won't die. I'm kind of being mean, but we have a lot of consoles out there, and just Bally Astrocade is not in television and it's not Atari. Even though this ad claims that it's the better one, we all know what's the truth. Well, maybe we'll see. This is a new game we haven't played yet. This is Claim Jumpers, released at some point in 1981, and we have just a little bit of artwork, but no manual, so I'm a little scared. It looks like another one by L&M. We saw Candyman by them, so it's not like an official Bally Astrocade. It looks like unlicensed, maybe? Or at least the box didn't look the same as the other ones. And any other info. There's the example of the cartridge. L&M Software Claim Jumpers, which I'm familiar of another home computer game with this title, but I don't know about the Bally Videocade. Oh, there we go. And every L&M has a cassette tape that also you can play off of. There's an example of that one with some fan art of the cartridge. And anything else? No, we don't. So we're just going to pop it in and go blind. Here it is, Claim Jumpers for your Bally Astrocade, the latest release. And right off the bat, it doesn't boot like usual. Usually whenever you boot up the Bally Astrocade, it gives you the built-in games, then you choose the other one, but we didn't get that. So we get a flashing screen with size. Okay, we'll say size 6 then. We'll just keep the... I'm pushing one button. Oh, okay. I pushed the button, only button I have, and it said, do we want to have a player? I guess 1 through 4 players, and then I said 2, and then I guess computer. Do you want a computer, yes or no? I'll just say no. All right, so we started up, and then now it's player 1's turn, and controller doesn't work, so I'm moving the controller around, but it looks like... Wait a second, is this that game that you played in elementary school where you drew the dots? Yeah, I just did it. I just drew the dots across. And I was looking for player 2. I got a second player. No, we got to actually plug a player in. So I got to do a little bit of this. We don't have joystick 2 plugged in. So resetting. Another creative game idea by L&M. All right, so here we go. Size 6. I guess that's how many dots on the screen. And then players. Wow, if you can have 4 players, I wonder if it's 4 with a... We'll just say 2 for right now. And we'll say no computer. So we got 2 controllers plugged in. Player 1 is up, and all I'm doing is I draw the line, and now player 2, they can move around too. Player 2 draws a line. Let's see if I go, there we go, like that, and then it goes back to player 1. Is this really the same? It is. I think all you're doing is I don't think we had a name for this game in elementary school, but I definitely played this, where all you did was get a piece of paper out, and you and your buddy drew dots on the piece of paper, and then you ended up trying to see how many places you could get a box. So Bally Astrocade calls this Claim Jumpers. I'm playing as both players, player 1 and player 2. Yeah, it works. So I got 5 points for that box, and now it's still player 1. Yeah, yes, right. You get to continue. What a bizarre idea. It's almost like they're taking everything you could do pen and paper or tabletop, and let's turn it into a video game. This is the most bizarre. Yeah, there you go. So now player 2 has 5 points. They completed 1. And so if you never played this game before, it's essentially you're just drawing lines on a grid and trying to get as many boxes completed. If you complete a box, then you get that section blocked off, and then you just keep going until you have whoever gets the most boxes by the end of the game. And that's it. So it's a very simple concept and idea. I never expected this to be in a video game. But then again, I didn't expect a lot of the video games we've seen. So Claim Jumpers shouldn't surprise me, but it does. And we won't go through it anymore. It's a very simple idea. I guess you could call it strategy, slightly strategy for playing that one. Okay, so for this one, that's interesting. It actually works. What's amazing, though, is it allowed 4 players. The Bally Astrocade could have 4 controllers plugged in, and the computer would have been the 5th. So this would have been a 5-player or 5 people playing at once. At least the computer picking as one. So that's crazy that you can have 5 people or 5 players at one time on Claim Jumpers. So I'm amazed, but is it really like above average though? I still say because of the presentation and the kind of game it is, I'll give it average, 3 stars. But yeah, it would have been less, but because of so many players at once, I'll do 3. So 3 stars for Claim Jumpers. That was bizarre. I know there's another version of Claim Jumper somewhere out there, but it is not this one. All right, and with that, let's see what our next game is after Bally Astrocade. We're now going to the VIC-20. Let's see what's new on the VIC. And this is Collide. We do have some artwork for this one. It's by Nufkop. The VIC-20 Collide, if you check out the front and back of the box, it's essentially a cassette tape that, yeah, you can see it's one of the ones that you'd see in a, not a bargain bin, but hanging on a retail store at a computer market. You just take it off the shelf and play. The early classic's still very popular because of its fast action and the fact that it's fun to play. You pick lanes quickly and carefully as you run over dots trying to avoid the computer-controlled happy face. It's Evil Auto all over again. And then it has more ads for other Nufkop. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. So whoever is in charge or was in charge of this company, please let me know how to pronounce Nufkop. I mean, an example of the game there. All right, so let's see if this one... Oh, we haven't had a lot of luck with VIC-20, so let's see what happens when we pop it in and play. So at some point in 1981, here's Collide on the VIC, which we saw from the video snapshot. It looks like it's a head-on clone or dodge-em clone. Oh my gosh, the flickering is real. All right, so I'm moving nothing. Joystick isn't working. Let's see if F1 works for us. What? It sounds like the game's playing itself in the background, but it's not working. Oh no, we got another crash. Come on, Vic. Now, I know that sometimes at this point, it's 1981, and so the VIC-20 had unexpanded VIC-20, like you didn't have any memory added to it, but there's also, you needed to expand and add memory to it. So just in case, let's see if we need to add something to this VIC to make it work. All right, so let's do memory expansion. Let's try 3 kilobytes. Does this run? Looks like no. What about 8 kilobytes? I think that's too much at this point. Oh, the next 6... Oh, no, it looks like it crashed after that one. Oh, man, well, we got another crasher. I'll just go back to unexpanded VIC. So we get something, but it's not the game, and we're not able to play it correctly. Darn, that's too bad for the VIC-20. Yeah. You'd think that, right? Well, I know it came with some memory, but it just... You would need more on top of it for some of the later releases. The ones that were 8K or 16K. By the way, K, that's kilobyte. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen where we are in 1981, it would blow your mind that the craziest thing out there is a 32K game to play. They'd be nuts. All right, so Collide did not run for us. We do have an example of the screen cap there, so I'm going to give it a low rating. We'll say it's still bad for the time. 2 stars, and if we can get it to run successfully, maybe we'll re-rate it. But in the meantime, 2 stars for Collide. Lots of head-on clones. Really popular. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thanks for the comment. All right, so let's move on after Collide. Where are we going now? It's time to go to the arcade, and we're playing Colony 7. Not familiar with Colony 7. Let's see what the artwork is and advertisement flyer. There you go, from Taito. Love Taito. Colony 7 with extended weaponry. I'm not sure what that means, but we're going to find out. There's the example of the arcade cabinet for Colony 7. Taito's another one of those publishers that we're familiar with. Later on, we know how good it's going to be. So it's, for example, when we were in the 70s and we heard that there's a game by Nintendo, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a game by Nintendo, but they weren't even popular then. So even now, Taito is up there, but it's not really up there with like Namco, or we just know where they're going to go and what it's going to be later. It's just so cool seeing Taito. So there's our control panel. We have, it looks like a joystick, Mega Blaster, and Eradicator. Nice. So we got heavy firepower for Colony 7. And that's what it looks like for controls. We have up, down, left, and right, and then fire, Mega Blaster, and Eradicator. And there's our arcade marquee for Colony 7. Very nice. And we have a manual. Great. So this is the operator manual for the arcade system by Taito, most likely distributed. Yeah, there you go. Taito America. And so let's scroll down through this one. We don't need to know. There we go. Taito's America Corporation Colony 7 is an upright game based on a skill-based video game designed for 1 or 2 players. Object of the game is to defend Colony 7, the most distant Earth deep space colony, and it's under attack. The colony consists of 3 fuel bases. It almost sounds like Space Invaders, but it probably isn't. There's a spaceport, laboratories, and a colony housing area. It's defended by 2 antimatter cannons able to be aimed by the player and on its computer-generated sites. Colony 7 is protected by an ion shield. This shield is blasted away in random chunks by enemy fire. A bonus colony is awarded at 1 of 2 adjustable score levels, which I'm sure you can do in the dip switches in the back of the arcade system. When the player presses the fire button, both cannons ignite into a fiery antimatter beam that converges on the location defined by the site where the cannons were fired. The cannon beam moves rapidly across the screen to explode the target. Can we just sit back and be amazed at how much detailed and better the manuals are getting for the operator manuals for these arcade games? Before, it would be just technical back in the 70s, and maybe we would get a sentence of what the game is, but look at this. This is so much information. So we got fighters that are equipped with plasma rockets they can use to attack the colony. The rockets have limited range, and the player's aided by a deep space scanner capable of determining the number of remaining fighters in the squadron. You have one Eradicator rocket provided by each colony. You hit the Eradicator button and all the enemies are destroyed. Nice. And then you have the Cannon Bummer that'll fly at the top of the screen randomly. If it's not destroyed, it drops bombs to target the other. And then we have the Advisor ships. Nice. So they're actually giving us names of the enemies. Then we have 3 Mega Blasters provided as part of the colony. The Mega Blaster button fires one shot at a time from the cannon. When it reaches the target cross, it splits into 32 bombs. Nice. And then we have extended weaponry if additional coins are required. Extended weaponry gives the player weapons of greater area of destruction. Wait a second. If I read that right, that means if you put more money in, you'll get more firepower. Like if you put an extra quarter in, you might get another Eradicator or Blaster. That's crazy. Okay, so the rest is just technical, game installation, power requirements. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to get for Colony 7. I got the idea. Looks like we got 2 different sets. We're going to play the original, released at some point in 1981 by Taito. If it's the original, we're in Japan playing the first version of it. And there we go, Colony 7. So looking at the attract mode, it's high res. Looks pretty cool. It's kind of zoomed in because we have the marquee at the top, but I'll zoom it in a little closer after we play a few of it. So it looks like this is similar to, I'm going to say Missile Command is what it looks like. Okay, here we go. We got the breakdown. We got Fighter, the Scout, the Bummer, and the Advisor. And it looks like Colony 7 is the one down at the bottom that we have to defend. That's the Ion Shield. So 1 credit gets you 3 initial colonies, and then 2 credits gets you extended weaponry. So we're definitely going to put more money in. So there we go. Defend the Colony 7 from enemies. Your arsenal is main weaponry and then the Mega Blaster. Wide coverage weapon powered by pulsating fuel cells in the colony. Used fuel cells turn blue. Eradicator destroys all enemies and bombs on the screen. It waits on the pad until launched. Enemy spacecraft attacked in squadrons of 30 fighters. So 30 at once until we go to the next wave, I'm guessing. Something like that. All right, let's put a coin in and see what happens. And push and start. Here we go. Oh, wait. 2 coins. Can I put another one in? Yes. Oh, it only read the 1 credit. So we're not on extended weaponry yet. All right, so right off the bat, it looks probably like I'm playing Missile Command. However, I'm not. This doesn't use a trackball. It uses a joystick. So it's bizarre. It's almost like I'm controlling Missile Command on the Atari 2600, if that makes any sense. So it's not as smooth as using the trackball of Missile Command. But you're moving around your crosshair on the screen, which can we just give it a chance to realize that we're using crosshairs now, and we haven't got mice on computers yet. At least mainstream. There's no mice to move a cursor around, but we're doing it now in the arcades. It's just crazy to think it's 1981, and this is going to be the usual on a computer. So anyway, for the controls, it works pretty simple. Oh, it looks like they blew something up on our side. I can't move my crosshair anymore. I should be trying out my other buttons. Let's see what else we got for firepower. So this one, that one's my big one. So I got my Mega Blaster, and then where's my, yeah, there's the Eradicator. Nice, looks like fireworks. So the Mega Blaster, it looks like it fires up in the bottom right. So right now it's showing me the number 1. Do I have 1? I don't have a Mega Blaster right now. So I didn't put enough money in. I gotta pay to play and get some extra arsenal of weapons. But normal firepower works just like that. You have this cool spread. It's almost like we're playing with fireworks, and they're exploding on the screen. So it's counting down the number of fighters. Looks like we'll go to the next wave. There's the Scout. Very nice. So nothing got blown up. Our Ion Shield is holding. But I think I'm totally out of the Eradicator. Nothing left on it. Now, if you hear the sound in the background, this isn't emulated perfectly. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be hearing more bass or sound effects. So we usually don't fault that because of the emulation. It'd be great if we could just be there in 81 in the arcade and see and play this. I feel that way with the vector graphics games because it doesn't do it justice. When you see it, the glow and halo behind the glass when you're playing like asteroids, even though it's black and white, it looks amazing. All right, there we go. So we're now going to another wave, but it looks like as soon as it blows up the right side, it freezes my shot. But I got another Mega Blaster. There it is. And my Eradicator, yeah, so I only get one of those. So cool effects, looks really nice. And plays well, but even though it looks like Missile Command, it's not playing exactly the same. Missile Command was a lot smoother and faster. I mean, look at how my joystick moves. I'm moving a joystick using a cursor around the screen. So it doesn't move as smooth, but still works well enough. Yeah, there we go. As soon as it blows up whatever that is on the far right side, then that's it. It looks like that's the end. Yeah, it's game over. All right, can we put some more coins in now? I want my extra firepower. Let's start it over from the beginning, and I'll zoom it in. Let's switch up the video. Zoom in this one to, how about there? There we go. So we can see a little bit more of that without the arcade marquee at the top. All right, so putting, oh, we got tons of credits in. All right, let's push start. It only says 1 credit, though. Can we use the second? I put 6 credits in. Oh, I see. It's counting it down in the far right side. So you can see I have 5, or the number 5 in the bottom right. And so it did give me some extra firepower, but not too much. So if we, boom, get the Eradicator in there. It does feel like something's missing sound-wise. Like I'm supposed to be hearing a thumping, some bass, possibly. Great idea, though, defending the colony. They're slowly breaking through our defenses. And, yep, they got me. So when they blew up the turret on the right side, that's basically the... Oh, we have one on the left and right. Okay, that's right. So we have a turret on the left, turret on the right, but if they blow those up, then you're done. Kind of like with Missile Command. If the silos have no more missiles, then you're done. Oh, and they got me. So after you do the big Mega Blaster, usually you become vulnerable, and you get shot after that. Yeah, so I think we got it. I put enough money in. I paid to play. Can't believe we got pay to play already. We've already seen, I guess, maybe 2 releases, possibly, so far on the channel. That you pay more money and then you can play. What was it? Castles of Darkness? You pay $2 and then you can get the answers? Because otherwise you wouldn't know where to go next. I did play it a little bit afterwards and realized what you need to do, but I did have to get hints. And it was extremely cryptic, but it was no different than anything like by online systems. There we go. Now we got another wave of 30. Can we hit the Eradicator? Yes. Go, go, go. And then get some Mega Blaster in there. It fires so many bullets, or the explosion has so much to it that you expect it to wipe out way more than it does, but it doesn't. Yeah, as soon as that turret's down, it's gone. All right, and with that, that is Colony 7. I'm really enjoying seeing this small trickle of change in shooters, like adding Super Bomb or clear the screen power-ups, and then ways to change up the gameplay just a little bit or tweak it a little bit. It's great seeing that. So for this one, it really isn't doing too much more. It's still above average. Well, no, actually, it's closer to average. So I'm going to probably do 3.5 stars. Anybody in chat want to throw some sense in? Because if you were in 1981 and this was in the arcades, this has a lot to live up to when you got Frogger and Defender and Scramble and Super Cobra. I mean, there's so many amazing ones that will hit up when we play the best of 1981. So I'm thinking I'm only going to go 3.5. It's not really like a super amazing. It is above average, but it's not anything to push any higher than that. Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm with you there. That was Colony 7 in the arcade. Let's see where we're going and what's happening next. All right, our next game is Color Cubes for the TRS-80 Color Computer. This one is on cartridge. Love those cartridge games on the home computer. Let's take a look at the box for Color Cubes. If you've ever seen the cartridge version of the boxes, it's there's nothing on the back. It's pretty bare bones, but if you ever see the back, it's not anything interesting. It's pretty technical. Oh yeah, if it's only Rubik's Cube, then I'm gonna probably suck too. Any other artwork that we can get for color cubes? You know, just the cartridge and an example of the screenshot. Yep, it's one giant cube. So we have the manual. This is Color Cubes by Radio Shack. Now, the manual may not help us if we're bad at playing Rubik's Cube, but let's see what it has. For controls, they keep it very, very technical on the manuals. It's almost like the IBM PC. Have you ever seen the manuals that we've come across? It's almost like just standard software. We're not really playing a game. All right, so here we go. Introduction. The last few years, puzzle cubes have been baffling millions of people. Yeah, they even have a story for a game that's about a Rubik's Cube. If you try to unscramble a puzzle similar to color cubes, you know how utterly confusing and frustratingly impossible it seems to be. Your color cube cartridge can help you solve this seemingly unsolvable puzzle. Can it, though? Can it really help us solve it? The cartridge has 14 different colors. This gives you 2 entirely different cube color schemes to work with. 6 colors per cube plus 1 on the background. And then it lets you compete against time when solving the puzzle. Oh, great. So we can practice our Rubik's Cube, digital Rubik's Cube. So there you go. It's giving, oh man, it even has the technical terms for where it is on the cube, but it's not using the term Rubik. It probably is trademarked. I haven't seen it yet. They're just calling it the color cube. Yeah, they're breaking down all the parts to it, the face of the cube, which row, bottom, middle, how to rotate. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. If you wanted to get into using a Rubik's Cube, this would be the software for you. I mean, look at this. This manual is very large. It breaks down all the facets of the cube and how to work the puzzle. So we already know how to do it in the palm of our hand, how to twist everything. But how do we do it on the computer? Color cubes. Robert G. Kilgus, if I'm remembering it right. Way to go, Robert. All right, so working the puzzle, randomize the start. You push 1, and then to roll the slices. So I'm looking down at my keyboard. It looks like it's keyboard controlled. So after you have to know which buttons to press on the keyboard to rotate the puzzle, or the puzzle cube, as it calls it here. So there you go. How to rotate the different axes. Yep, I got it. So you're going to be, I guess, presented with a cube. Man, we're only halfway through this manual, and this is ridiculously long. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so how to move the cube, how to rotate it. This is one of the first examples we've ever seen of the Rubik Cube as a video game on the channel. I can't guarantee this is the first for sure, but this is the first one that we've seen. And this isn't the last. There's a lot out there. All right, so let's pop it in and play. This is Color Cubes for the Coco. And boots right up because we got it in cartridge form. All right, so let's just start us up, randomize, and start the game. There you go. We got our Color Cube. It's randomizing it, and it's funny, we're playing on the color computer, but it's still having to use mesh instead of solid colors. I was pretty sure maybe on this resolution they don't have enough colors they could display, but it's funny that we're playing on the color computer, but they're still not displaying solid colors for every part of the cube. Is that it? Are we now rotating? Yes. Okay, so now I'm using the keyboard, I'm rotating the Rubik's Cube. Oh yeah, that's it. So it's you solving a Rubik's Cube on your color computer. I think that's it. Oh yeah, you can also rotate it all the way around. Yeah, they have lots of different commands on the keyboard you can push. Oh, did I push the wrong one? There you go, go back. That's it. Nice. Okay, so it's just like doing a virtual Rubik's Cube, basically. Yeah, only 4 colors at this resolution? Okay, that explains the mesh. All right, so that's pretty much all we're going to showcase because, I mean, if you're really good at Rubik's Cube solving, then it'd be fun. But for everybody else, it's all right. It's cool that they did this, so I'm going to give them credit for that. So for this, it's also rare for us on the channel to see true puzzle games. The puzzle genre isn't super big right now. What's big is arcade, shooters. You know, those are the big genre of video games. So it's cool seeing a puzzle game. So for the time, the fact that they did this is awesome. I'm still going to give it just 3 stars, about average for the time. So I'm not going to fault it just because I'm not really super into Rubik's Cubes, but yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, loving the comments on those. Okay, so let's do 3 stars for Color Cubes and move forward with our next release. We're playing all the other games in 1981 in alphabetical order, and our next game is Color Invaders. Probably, right? All right, so Color Invaders. It's got to be a Space Invaders. We have no other information besides this screenshot, so we're just going to pop in and play. Let's see what Color Invaders is like on the Coco. And for usual, if we were playing on disk, we load it up. This is machine language. We love that. Got to do a few commands. It wouldn't be a genuine 1981 episode if we weren't inputting commands on a keyboard. Imagine a world before a mouse was invented or used on computers. So Color Invaders by Computerware. This one says 1982, but it's first available and being able to play at the end of 81. Okay, so I'm hitting Enter, Spacebar. I'm guessing it's loading in the background. Oh, there we go. We're in. Yes, we got our Space Invaders and point values. Did I just hear what I thought I heard? Did they just play Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Which, that's already out. If it's 81, it has to be out already. Okay, so skill level. We want to do... All right, let's do... We're pretty familiar with Space Invaders. Let's do 4. And number of players, we'll just do 1 player. I'm by myself at my Coco playing... playing some Space Invaders. Okay, so right off the bat, control works. Move left, right, and fire. Yeah, and it's Space Invaders. I don't have that much range. That's as far as I can go left. And I'm already shot, and interesting. They shot me, but look, it removes the life, but I pretty much I can keep going. So that's nice. And look how quick the enemies are moving at level 4. And bullet firing shots. You can only still fire 1 bullet at a time. It's just classic Space Invaders. Nice animation of the death of the Space Invaders. That's pretty cool. I don't think I can get this guy at the top. Oh, missed him that time. But yeah, it's it works well. It's Space Invaders basically. What happened? Did I freeze? Oh, I must have pushed. No, I didn't push anything, so it might just have been a hiccup, a glitch in the system. Good sound effects. It's got the thumping going. It's 1981, and Space Invaders came out in 78. We're going to continue to see Space Invaders until the end of time on the channel. I know there's plenty that are in the 90s for Space Invaders, and I know there's plenty in the 2000s still. So no matter what, there's always going to be Space Invaders. Oh, it's game over. Well, that one is pretty cool. So out of the Space Invaders we played, it gets the job done, great animation, and plays just like Space Invaders. Yeah, maybe it did. I just saw in the chat. I'm not sure if it did or not. But for the time, out of 5 stars, if I had Space Invaders, it's still about average, so I could go 3 stars for that. Right down the middle, yeah, I'll do 3 stars. It's around average. Oh, beginning of 81. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so let's go 3 stars for Color Invaders, and let's see what our next game is. We're now going to Color Space Invaders. Not the same game. Sounds almost the same, but no. And we have a little bit of advertisement for this one. There you go. From Spectral Associates. You got to have 16K in your TRS-80 color computer. Only $21.95. And they even call it, if you look in the bottom right side, they call it just straight up Space Invaders. And I'm sure they changed it later. And you see what it's called? Yeah, it's still called Space Invaders there by Spectral Associates. And we do have a manual for this one. There it is, Spectral Associates. This is Space Invaders. And man, just right off the bat, they just call it Space Invaders. And they had to have been sued and changed the name. If you're wondering why it's colored this way, photocopiers couldn't copy this stuff. But we can nowadays, so the joke's on them. We can still read the manual. Back then, though, you wouldn't be able to copy this. So how do you play? Well, it's Space Invaders. You score points for each invader destroyed. You have a level of difficulty. You have a shield. The mystery invader appears and disappears at random intervals. We have hyperspace. Nice. And it looks like, oh, it's keyboard controls for some of this. So 1 and 2 control the motion of the shield. And then we have hyperspace, demo mode, and we do have joysticks. Okay, so left joystick, right joystick. Oh, it's showing you how, if you use the joysticks, what it'll be. Loading instructions, and that's pretty much it. This is, oh, and it's part of a space trilogy. That's hilarious. We've played Meteoroids and Space War. So they're calling that the Space Trilogy, or the Spectral Associate Space Trilogy. There we go. Yeah, so 2 different examples of the manual. Nice. Yeah, Cosmic Invaders would be a better name, so they didn't get a lawsuit on them. All right, let's pop it in play. Some Color Space Invaders. Another clone. They will not end. Okay, got another one. Machine language on this one. Here we go. Getting to play some Coco. We always talk about the console wars, but at this point in 81, we already have a lot of computers to choose from. And so there already is a war, quote-unquote, of computers, and it's only going to get more and more. The computer space is actually going to get as thick and crowded as the console space. Beware of the Space Invaders. What's your name, Defender of Earth? My name is Chrono. Oh, it went to it went to attract mode. I didn't even get to finish. I want to put my name in. There we go. Chrono, what level of difficulty do you want to try? Let's do 10. We know Space Invaders. Let's go. All right, so right off the bat, controller is not responding to me, but keyboard is. Is L and T. All right, so if I... Yeah, it looks like we got left and right to move, and then spacebar to fire. Does the joystick work for my shields? Looks like... Yeah, the shield should be that blue thing moving across the side, I think. And it's running. It works just like Space Invaders. Yeah, it might be depending on which joystick we have plugged in. We still have analogs in, but I'm trying both to see just to make sure. Yeah, nothing from those. But it's Space Invaders in color. At this point, it's 1981, and how many computers have color? Because I know XD Source are still black and white. There are still plenty of Apple IIs that are using black and white. But the trope, you have a color computer, how special would it be in 1981? Is it something to boast that I have a computer that's able to display color? For all us gamers in 81, that's what you would want to have. And we've been, we did kind of cheat a little bit on the Apple II. We were playing color Apple II games before they even had the color monitor out. And, oh, this isn't going to work. I didn't cover the far left side. No! Oh, wow. Apologies for the flashing. Do you want to try another game? No. So that's kind of interesting. We had 2 Space Invaders games back-to-back. Out of the 2 of them, they both play pretty much the same. This one does have a couple minor features, maybe a tweak of features, but it's still about average, so I'm still going to say 3 stars for both. I mean, at this point, we only do half-star ratings, so I can't really say one is going to notch above the other, but they're average for everything else we've seen for the time, especially every other game we've seen for the time. So there you go. Thanks a lot for the chat, L. Curtis B. All right, so let's move on after Color Space Invaders. What is our next game? Oh, yeah, of course. We're in alphabetical order, so we have the next color game. This is Color Space Traders. And if it's color, it's got to be on the Tierra City Coco. We have no screenshots, but we do have a manual for this one. Looks like possible homebrew one. Yeah, so this is Space Traders, and it looks like we got a strategy game on us. They have... Scoring is based on suits of cards, it looks like. And then... Oh, I see. No, this is only for Space Traders. The object of Color Space Traders is to amass the greatest amount of money. This is accomplished by establishing vast interstellar shipping lanes, yep, it's strategy, and purchasing stock in the companies that control those trade routes. During the course of the game, stock appreciates in value as the shipping companies become larger. Also, smaller companies can be merged into larger ones, and stock in the smaller firm is converted into stock in the larger one as described below. And we did play Cartels and Cutthroats, which was a Atari 800 game for, or Apple II, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it was a business simulation game. And this looks like the same idea, but it's got to be futuristic. So it's dealing with like how much does the Nostromo cost if we were in the Alien universe or something like that. All right, so you can see here they're breaking down how to play the game and the way it works. We're probably not going to get too much into how it goes down, but we'll refer to the manual if we need to. All right, let's check out Color Space Traders. Released at some, we say at some point in 1981. We actually missed it. It was April 81 for this one. All right, so here we go. Let's look on the disc. Color Space Traders. Oh, it's basic. Nice. Let's go. Really enjoying checking out all these computers that I didn't have the ability to play before, and seeing everything in order progress and get, it's always getting better. As we move forward, everything gets better. There is still going to be a few stinkers out there, so as we move forward, not everything will improve, but the general consensus of the landscape, we just keep seeing more and more great games. This is the opening, I guess, for Space Traders. They're playing random sound effects. I think they're just having fun with the sound on the Coco. Is this the actual game, or is this just an opening? Let's see. Okay, yeah, you push spacebar and then it ends the opening sequence. Okay, who's playing Space Traders? We'll do 2 people are playing Space Traders. What is your name? Chrono. Player 1. Player 2 is, looks like last person was KC Club Kirby. So player 2 is KC Club Kirby. Yeah, this is far more complicated than a graphing calculator. However, we have played on some of the computers from England, and yes, those really do look like graphing calculators because they were made by Sinclair, who started making calculators first. All right, don't know if I can believe it. Maybe you'd better try another name. Wait, oh, KC Club Kirby's too long. Okay, we'll just do Kirby then. Can we do Kirby? There we go. Okay, so we got Chrono and Kirby. This is Space Traders. It's loading up the original screen, but I know it's going to be a lot of decisions for finances and money. All right, so right off the bat, it's booting up into different sectors. So the way this game works is this is like an overview of the entire galaxy. And they get constant sounds for us. And the first player that goes, you're trying to capture and buy up every section, or get as much section as you can of the whole galaxy. And it's represented by whatever color you are. So if you look down at the bottom, right now it's just switching back and forth. Let's see if I can move. Does the joystick work on this one? I don't think so. Yeah, so it's just me selecting different areas, and then you buy and purchase stock, and then it's a space trading game that you're almost like Othello. You're trying to amass as much as you can on the screen for the different squares. It obviously is a little more complicated than that, but it'd be a game if you wanted to play kind of a bare bones strategy game without having to move units around and battling or fighting. It's merely based on monetary gain or managing your money correctly. In the future, as the bleeps and bloops happen behind me. So for Color Space Traders, it's a rough one. For all the other games we played up to this point, I'm thinking more like the game Centurion we played on the Atari home computer. It's a strategy game, but it's not as implemented as well as everything else we've seen. So I'm willing to go in the bad range for this one. We didn't play as much of it. I have the concept because I've read the manual ahead of time, but I'm still going to go around 2 stars. Yeah, right. Even if you were a strategy fan and you wanted to play this, I don't even think you could be enjoying it. So I'll go 1.5 stars for Space Traders. It's around the bad range. It is not broken, but it is a bad title, at least in my opinion. All right, and with that, let's see where we're going. After all the Coco games, what's next? We're back on the Bally Astrocade. And this is Coloring Book, which means I don't even think it's a game. Let's take a look at the box. Yes, it's just, oh, they call it Creative Crayon here. Tickle your creative fancy with all the tools of a professional graphics machine. People of all ages can enjoy the thrill of creating beautiful art. Use the optional light pen. Oh, that's right. The Videocade had a light pen, and if you remember we saw on Atari, Atari also had a light pen. And what I mean by that is you put this on the screen and you get to draw using that. It's really cool. And you can use the overlay for different pictures. Okay, we'll pop it in and see a little bit, but it's pretty much just going to be a drawing tool, is my guess. So released at some point in 1981. Here we go. This is Coloring Book. And there we go. So right off the bat, you have the built-in games of the Bally Astrocade. We want number 1 for Coloring Book. And there it is. Yes. You just you just move around and draw on the screen. Yeah, it's a drawing tool. But if you notice, there's already scribbling there. Built into the Bally Astrocade when it first came out was scribbling, which was drawing around the screen. So the coloring book is essentially just a program that's slightly giving you more fidelity. I know you could even pick colors and size on scribbling. So coloring book just gives you a little bit more, but you already have something built inside. It came with it. So this one we're going to give a 0. We're not even considering it a game. But bear in mind, when we do get to something like Mario Paint, oh no, Mario Paint will not get 0 stars. It is much more than a art tool. All right, so let's press forward after coloring book and see what our next game is. We're now going to the Atari home computer, and this is Commbat. Commbat? Kind of reminds me of App Venture that we saw on the Apple II. I'm thinking that maybe they spelled it wrong. All right, let's take a look at the box for Commbat. This is by Bob Schilling. Way to go, Bob. So this requires 24K disc, or at least this is the disc version. If we flip it over on the back, so we have, let's see. Oh, it's Venture International, so they're giving us the stats. How long it takes to complete is 30 minutes to 4 hours. Wow. They have recommended for novice players, yes, okay. Sound, game feature, multiple skill levels, special equipment. 2 computers connected via the RS-232 connection with full duplex modems. What? Links modem or connection modem will not work. Wait, what? This requires a modem to play? No way. This is the very first game. Wait, yeah, it requires a modem, not that it's optional. This would be the first game we've ever seen on the channel that is requiring a modem. And it'd be the first game we've ever played or showcased that allows 2 people to play over a modem. In 81, I think that's way too early. So to give you a little bit of background, I first experienced the internet after 1991. This is 1981, and we're already going to get games played over a modem? That's crazy. Yeah, you can play against someone over a modem across the city or a country mix, but that's insane. So here we go. This is the disc for Commbat. Oh, I get it now. It's Commbat because it's played over a comm. It's not just the same normal Combat. All right, let's see if we have any other versions. Looks like just 2 different ones. I don't know how this is going to work then. This is our very first time playing a game that you would play over. We don't even call it the internet yet. It's not a thing yet. Now, bear in mind, it's the first time we've played or showcased a game with a modem. But obviously, ARPANET already exists, and there's already mainframe computers that are already doing this, where you could play over the internet. But for a computer to play and a game that requires a computer to play is astounding. Home computer, at least. All right, let's see what happens when we try to boot it up. This might be another crash. At some point in 1981, there was Commbat for your Atari home computer. And they even said you could put a cable at home. So if you had if someone came to your house with 2 computers that had the cord, you could plug in and essentially LAN, local area network it. That's crazy to think. Okay, so it's up, and it looks like it's just a menu-based game. So it's giving us all the commands to do with the tank, and then down at the bottom, it's asking, do we want a game or practice? So let's do a game. We're going to game. And then, oh, wow, look at that. Input the baud rate of the modem. I think it's at 300. If we try that, what happens? Oh, yeah, it's not on this. I don't even know if we can do it. So this is just crazy. There's a game in 1981 that you required a modem to play. This is the first one we've seen on the channel, so we can't really play or showcase it. It looks like it's just a menu-driven based game where you take turns back and forth controlling your tank. So you can see the commands in the top left corner, you know, where to fire, use your base, decoys, and so forth. But yeah, 1980, yeah, it makes sense to do turn-based because then it probably takes a while for it to go from one place to another after you send a signal back and forth. But I am floored. That is so cool. All right, so this one's even trickier to rate because it is not average. This isn't the usual. For gameplay-wise, I don't even know how fun it would be at this point to do this, because if you played anything on mainframe computers and you're sending like checkers or a board game, or chess was a big one. You send your move for chess, it goes over the modem and it gets sent to the other player. They see what move you made and then they send theirs back. It is a little time consuming, so it depends on what you would see or not see at the time. For Commbat, I don't even know how to begin to rate this. I'm not going to say average, though, because this is doing something that we haven't seen before. So I'll do 3.5 stars, above average, just considering this is the very first time that we've seen on the channel that you have to have a modem to play this game. This opens up so many games we're going to see later where you'll be playing online. That's all we do nowadays. Most of the games we play are online now. But in 1981, that's bizarre. Can you imagine going to someone's house in 1981 and they say we're going to play a game where you take that computer and I take this one and you play together on 2 different computers? It's crazy. All right, so that was Commbat for the Atari home computer. Way to go, Atari. Let's press forward and see what our next game is. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, thanks for speaking up in the chat about the BBSs or the billboards. Someone asked me the question if we're going to be doing billboard games. There is some, but we're not going to do an exhaustive list of all those because there is tons of little ones you could have got. All right, so we're now looking at Computer Acquire, also for the Atari home computer. I bet it's another business simulation game, is my guess, looking by the cover. Let's take a look at the artwork for Computer Acquire, High Adventure in the World of High Finance by Microcomputers. And that's it. That's all we got as a box front with lots of forms. Man, if you enjoyed your job so much in finance or in management, and you're like, man, I want to take a break from all that work stuff, but I still want to play a game that does essentially the same thing, maybe Computer Acquire is the game for you. Here you go. Let's pop it in. It released at some point in 1981. This is Computer Acquire. Released by Avalon Hill. I don't even know how far we'll get on this one because any of these simulation games, we do like the SSI or the big high simulation games. This one, Avalon Hill is kind of the same idea. Do you want to play me? Well, we just met. Yes. What level do you want to play? We are idiots, so we'll play level 1. What is your name? Chrono. Oh my gosh. Yes, so it is just a full-on graph that we're checking out. And the computer's playing us, taking sections away. Oh, now it's already my turn. We don't have a manual for this, so just bear in mind, we're playing a game based on high finance, and they've given us a board of just numbers. So what do we wish to play? I don't know, 66? You can't play that one. Pick another. Oh, they're hotels. Oh, I see. So it's giving me the options of what I can pick. I'll do 105. So then we move to 105, and then, okay, it's almost like the space trading game. They're giving us a grid, and we're supposed to acquire in this case, it's hotels, but it's the similar format. It's a dumbed down version of a trading or capturing, acquiring area or land game, which this is based on a board game. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's just bizarre because we played much more detailed and advanced strategic and simulation games. That to play a game like this, it just seems almost too simple still. It would be cool if you were into the board game and wanted to play something digital, but you can see see how it works. Every time the computer acquires it, they get that part and it creates an X, and then you try to acquire more hotels and amass more than the computer. Yeah, it's sort of like that. This is a simpler version of Monopoly. Is pretty much how I could describe it. So do we want to play? Well, let's do 36. 36 is the best one. And then it picks again, goes to the other board, and then the computer does its turn. So it's not a game you could play with 2 people, because I think you're not supposed to see what the other person can see, at least for the board game version. So they go placing hotels. It almost does feel like Monopoly. If we're going to buy up real estate and purchase hotels and stuff. All right, so that was Computer Acquire. It's same idea. I'm thinking 1.5 stars. I might even go lower, because just the presentation and to play it is so boring and slow. Yeah, we'll go 1.5. It's not necessarily broken, but it's right on the cusp of broken. Computer Acquire. Wow. The real finance nerds would play that one in 81. All right, so after Computer Acquire, let's see where we're headed next. This is Computer Quarterback, which we've seen already on the Apple II, and this is the Atari home computer version. It is a simulation sports game. which I think that's all we got, right? Yeah, Computer Quarterback by SSI. And the way it works is you're drafting and playing players, but it does play out games, but they're represented by X's and O's, and you make decisions. It's almost like the first management game, which if you have to be into managing sports teams, this is the game for you. This box contains $3 million for you to draft and coach any football team you'd like. That's right. They have pro, semi-pro. You even have computers you can play against and program the computers. The craziest thing about this, which was on the Apple II, I don't know if it's on the same for Atari, is whenever you played this game and you played against the computer, you put a disc in, and every time you played the computer learned what you did and improved. So the big draw for this game, for any of the games we played up to this point, was it has learning for the computer. The computer is going to progressively get better and better and learn what you do, because it saves it to an extra disc. That's what they did for the Apple II.
Atari home computer. Why Atari?
So that's the big thing for this one. How it runs on Atari, though, we will see. So at some point in 1981, this is Computer Quarterback, another amazingly detailed simulation game by SSI. Do you want to manage football teams but don't really want to play like Atari football? Then this is the game for you. There we go, by Dan Button. Way to go, Dan. Produced using Copyright Systems, product of Monarch Data Systems in Maryland. So the Atari version was by LDW Software. Not familiar with that one. And so it's booting up. Let's see what happens and how it works. All right, here we go. So you can select from, there we go, play a computer, play a two-player game, or the data disk. So it's bringing it up. This must allow you to do the data disk. So let's try, if we do computer, it's going to say that. Play the computer, and then we're going to say no, because you don't want to have, you have to spend almost the hours setting up every player for every team. So is this your first game? Yes. And it's going to probably say, there we go. Here we go. So this is what I meant. At this point, you would put in an extra disc. You take the one out and put another one in, and then you would now save. Every time you played against the computer, it would be learning. You can see what it's saying. You have to use the disc whenever you play against the computer, because it's going to store the teams, and then it's also going to take everything you do and then remember it, and then they save what they remember and progressively remember more and more. So the longer you played it, you get a more intelligent computer to play. Well, we don't have a disc, so we're going to pretend we have two people playing, just to show you what the intro is like. So let's pop it back in. We'll go back to the opening, and we'll do just the two-player mode of the game. Okay, there we go. So we want two-player game, the two-player version. So you have two selections, semi-pro or professional. Look at all the options. It's almost like SSI, before they made games, they wanted to make them as detailed as possible and put as much and cram as much as they could into these games. So they're really good for the people that are really into this kind of genre. So we'll do semi-pro, and then we want no unique teams. We're not going to go player by player. And this is cool. Joystick controls? I didn't know they had that. Maybe I don't think it was on the Apple computer. What would you want for a computer management program? Why would you want joysticks? All right, so two players are now going to privately name their teams, assign play numbers, and check the joysticks. So let's plug two controllers in and press space to continue. Left player, press any key when you're ready to start. All right, so the first player is ready. Insert joystick 2 and press fire. During the game, you can press... There you go, guys. We got the two joysticks plugged in. What name would you like your team to be? Well, we got to be the Browns, the worst team ever. And there might be contention to that one. There are three ways to assign play numbers. Have the computer assign them sequentially, have the computer assign them randomly, or assign them yourself. So we're just going to do random, because we're not going to go individually and assign them ourselves. So we'll do you want the hard copy of this information? And this means you could print out all this information on the computer. When we played the Apple version, I brought up how this was based on teletype versions of strategic sports games, where you would, before you played a teletype game, you would type in all the information as code to the computer. Then the computer would output what happens during the game. So you just read what you programmed in for the players to do. You would read out what they would do. This was on mainframe computers, so this is a easier way, but they're still kind of referring back to that by printing out the information. Would you like to view the information on the screen? No. Let's move on. Okay, so right player, press any key when you're ready to start, and this is now on the other controller, I'm guessing. Oh, okay, we'll press a key on the keyboard then. All right, so enter and press fire. Oh, wrong port. There, fire. And then what would you like the name for the second team? We'll do Chiefs. Oh. And there's 3 ways to play. So you can see how this works. As you play a 2-player game, you're designing your own team, and then you make decisions for that team. No, we do not want to print a hard copy. You want to view it on the screen? No. Both players should be back at the computer now. So if you come back in the room, and now we're safe to move forward. How many minutes would you like to play per quarter? We'll do 5 minutes. 250 minutes. Oh my gosh. So throughout the game, the left player can press the Z to call a timeout. And this is meant to be played 2 people at 1 keyboard. And whenever you play the game, keep in mind, you're not playing football. This is you picking your teams, making the decisions your teams will do. And then when it's time for the game, you're sitting there and watching the game. So you're essentially the coach. One of the first times you were just the coach of the game. All right, so explaining, nice, the color of the computer, very nice. Oh yeah, great point in the chat. That's right. So it's a completely different world of computing, especially when we go to the arcade and we expect a shooter or Space Invaders, and then you come to this, it's like a totally different realm of video gaming. Which nowadays, it's a thing. People that are into managing sports teams, this is the beginning of when you did that. The Browns won the coin toss. Do you want to receive the kickoff? Yeah. Do we say yes or why? Oh, wait, there we go. We use the joysticks. That's so funny. Using the Atari joysticks for a simulation sports game. That's awesome. All right, so you can do different kicks, right? I have the option to pick which kind of kick I want to do. Nice. So it's played out on the left side, the entire or majority of the game is. And you can see it's just a lot of information that's going to be on the screen. 12-yard run back, and then we start making decisions on what happens in the game. But that's it. This is it. It's basically the same as what we had for the Apple. It still works the same. It plays the same. There's not a lot of difference graphically. So with this one, it's still about average still for what we see for the time. If you're into this genre, this would be the best you could play. So I'm going to do 3.5 stars for computer quarterback if you had someone that was into and wanted to play this. Because there's just so much info. And it's the better version considered the other ones on mainframe computers. All right, what an evening. We are now going to have to put pause on playing every single game, but we are far from done. We have lots more to play in 1981. This is the C's, and we're going to continue playing everything else released at some point in 1981. Keep giving me comments or info of games that you haven't seen yet, just to make sure we can get to them before we finish the year. And with all the people that join on Twitch and on YouTube, thanks so much for joining. We will catch you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.